How much monthly profit will you make from keeping 200 layer chicken? That's what I'm going to show you in this video. I am Carlos, guide Secret Layers, a poultry education platform that teaches you how to start and run a layer poultry farm profitably. And let's get straight into the numbers. But before we begin, please make sure you subscribe and share this video so that you don't miss out on any future videos from this channel, and so that it can be shared to more people so they can get the value from this video. There are 3 assumptions that I'm going to make in this video so that it can be easier for us to calculate the monthly profits. These are: 1, we are going to use a price of 400 Kenya shillings per tray of 30 eggs. 2, for the price of layers mash, we are going to use a price of Kenya shillings 60 per kg. And 3, we are going to assume an 80% production rate of your birds. So starting with sales, how much money are you going to make from selling your eggs before deducting the costs? So 200 layer chicken laying at an 80% production rate gives us 160 eggs per day. So 160 eggs daily multiplied by 30, we get 4,800 eggs per month. And when you convert that back to trays, which is 4,800 divided by 30, we get 160 trays of eggs per month. And remember our price per tray assumption of 400 Kenya shillings per tray of 30 eggs. So per month, that will be 160 trays multiplied by 400 shillings, and that gives us 64,000 Kenya shillings per month. That's the revenue that you're going to get from selling your eggs monthly. Now moving on to the cost, since you are keeping 200 birds on your farm, I'm assuming you're not going to need any employees on your farm and you can manage them by yourself. So we are going to cut off any labor costs. And if you don't know, the main cost on a layer poultry farm is actually the cost of the feeds. And layer chicken during their laying period, they feed around 130 grams of feed per day per hen. So for your 200 birds, that will be equal to 26,000 grams of feed per day. And when you convert that back to kilograms, that will be equal to 26 kilograms of feed per day. So that means every single day, your 200 layer chicken will be eating 26 kilograms of layers mash. And using our price assumption of layers mash, which was 60 per kg, we can now calculate the daily cost of feed on our farm. So that will be 60 multiplied by 26, and we get 1,560 Kenya shillings per day. That's the cost of your feeds on your farm daily. Now let's switch that to a monthly cost. So multiply by 30, we're going to get 46,800 Kenya shillings. So just to show you where we are, from the sale of eggs, we get 64,000 Kenya shillings monthly. And now our monthly feed costs are cash 48,000 monthly. So when we subtract that, we get 17,200 Kenya shillings left. But those are not the final costs. One thing that we have to consider here and include in our costs is the vaccinations and vitamins or supplements. Very crucial. Now for layers, when they get to the laying period, most of the vaccines have already been given during the preceding 5 months before they start laying. So the main vaccines that are normally left are regular deworming, regular fallpox and fall typhoid, and some boosters maybe of Newcastle depending on where your farm is. And for that, we are going to assume a cost of 2,000 Kenya shillings per month. This is an assumption. It can either be higher or lower depending on the conditions on your specific farm. And by the way, if you want to see the full vaccination schedule for layers, just go to secretlayers.co.ke. I recently published a blog post giving the simplest and most elaborate layer chicken vaccination schedule, because most people were confused by what they were getting online, including myself. And that's why I researched and found the simple one and I put it there. So 17,200 Kenya shillings where we were, and we subtract the 2,000 for the vaccines, vitamins and supplements, then we get left with 15,200 Kenya shillings. But one more cost we have to include that most farmers almost always forget. Remember, your farm is not running in a vacuum. At certain times, you'll need transport to deliver the eggs to the customers, or to go there and buy the feeds, and even the most basic expense, which is internet. We have to factor that in. So the industry standard is usually 15% of the cost of feeds to cater for the miscellaneous costs. And 15% of our feeds costs, which was 64,000 Kenya shillings, is going to be 7,020 Kenya shillings. And if we subtract that from what we were left with, which was 15,200, we are going to finally get 8,180 Kenya shillings. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final profit that you'll get on your farm when you raise 200 layer chicken. Now, is it high or is it low? Is it big or small? I don't know. I leave that for you to judge, and you can tell me in the comments what you think about that figure. Here is one thing that most farmers usually miss. When you take the daily profits from your farm and you accumulate them for the amount of period that you're going to keep your birds, that's not your final profit. Because remember, you either bought your chicken as point of lay, or you bought them as day-old chicks and brooded them for almost 5 months before they gave you even the first egg. So to get the real profits on your farm, you have to factor in the price of buying the chicks or point of lay and the cost of brooding them from day 1 to week 18, which is around the time by which they start laying. So all the costs there have to be included and subtracted from the final sale of eggs and maybe X layers. Then that's when you'll know the true and exact profit on your layer farm. I've not calculated that here because it's usually variable depending on where you source your feeds, the type of equipment that you use, and even where you get your day-old chicks or point of lay from. But that's what I want you to know and keep in mind. Don't go around feeling happy about the figure that I just gave you, yet you haven't calculated your costs pre-laying period. That's it, 8,180 Kenya shillings per month, the profit that you'll get from keeping 200 layer chicken. And that's the number that you should be struggling to push up and up daily as a farmer. If you found value in this video, please subscribe, like and share to any friend or group that you know might benefit from it. And if you are a beginner in layer poultry farming, make sure you check out this free guide over here, which I prepared for you. It has the 6 simple steps that you can follow in order for you to start and run your layer poultry farm profitably. You can get it at secretlayers.co.ke. It's totally free, and I'll leave a link in the description. If your plan was to start with 100 chicken and you have no idea how much profit they are going to give you, I made a whole video on that, calculating the exact number of profits that 100 chicken will give you. And you can watch it next after this. Adios.